right, you guys, as you can see by the thumbnail, this is episode 102 of Inner Demons. And without further ado, I'm going to get straight back into it. So check it out, you guys. Episode 101, I talked about how I was released from the Santa Clara County Jail after 10 years. And then some of the transitions that I was going through getting back out into the free world. And one of the main things that I was dealing with was, again, cabin fever. This was something that I was feeling for a good 60 days. And I'm not going to say it was as bad as like when I would parole from Pelican Bay. I would, feel like I wanted to go back to my cell. I remember one time when I got out the Bay that I actually felt like I don't want to be out here. I need to get back to my cell because I was out of my element. So again, it wasn't as bad as getting out of the SHU, but there was still a lot of parallels that I was dealing with. And again, anxiety were two things that became real for me, and I had to find my way through it. So after I get out, I told you that they put me up in the extended stay, and again, I want to say that they gave me a 90-day voucher to stay at that hotel. And if you guys are familiar with extended stay, or I think it's the residency inn, these places are made to stay, long term, because they have like a little small kitchenette, it's like a small apartment or studio. They give you a refrigerator, a microwave, 2 small burners. I mean, you got everything that you need. It's just a small space, but honestly, it's not that bad. So after about a good 2 weeks, I knew that eventually I was gonna have to find some form of employment. I knew I was gonna have to get a job. I knew these people weren't gonna keep giving me vouchers. I knew eventually they were gonna cut me off and I was gonna be on my own. So I knew I had to get a job. And I just want to say this because I know there's a lot of you that were probably like me when I was younger, that got caught in that mindset of thinking or believing that you couldn't get a job because you had tattoos on your face or because you had PTSD or schizophrenia or something like that. Honestly, at least speaking for myself, those were nothing but excuses because I didn't want to work. I knew like back in the early 90s, I had a few homeboys and there was a lot of people that used to try to run the SSI thing where they would try to get on SSI because they were institutionalized. And I remember there was even some cats that would get on psych meds and get on that triple CMS just so that their lazy ass could get out and not go get a job. I never took it that far, but I did allow myself to think like, you know what, I can't get a job. They're not going to hire me. They're going to take one look at me and they're going to say, nah, we don't employ people like you because you look like a gang member or you just look like you're up to no good. But that's a cop out. Every time I got out there, I went looking for a job and I was proactive about it. I was able to get employed. A lot of us, because we went to prison at a young age, we don't have any skills. We don't have no trades. We don't really have any kind of training, any kind of job skills. But there's things that you could do that with just a little bit of common sense. Driving, delivery. These were always the kind of jobs that I looked for, the labor intensive jobs. Driving trucks, delivery, that's another job that anybody can get. They'll hire anybody. Warehousing, working in the freezer, being a selector, learning how to drive a forklift. These are all things that a lot of us that don't have skills can do. It takes just a little bit of common sense. Whenever I got out and I was trying to find some form of employment, what I used to do is I used to go on Craigslist and I used to look for those kind of jobs. The warehousing jobs, loading, lumper jobs, case selectors, delivery. I would go through all those ads and I would send out just a gang of emails to each one of them. I would go through all those ads, the ones that look like would be a good fit for me. And I would send out, a bunch of emails to different places, different companies. And you might not hear back from all of them. You might only hear back from 1, 2, or 3 of them, but that's all you need. And you might not hear back from all of them, but 2 or 3 of them will usually get back at you. And they'll reach back out and they'll schedule you for an interview. And that's what I used to do. So I would go in for these interviews and this was my mindset at that time. And I probably didn't even need to do this, but I would go in, I'd humble myself and I'd tell them, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just got out. I have a family. I'm trying to take care of my family. I'm trying to do everything positive. I'm a good worker. I'm punctual. I'm a fast learner. I just need somebody to give me a chance. And this is what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to work a week for you free to show you what my work ethic is like. I'm not tripping off a pay or nothing like that. I just want to prove to you that I'm serious about working and that I need a chance. You know, a lot of it depends on how you represent yourself or the type of individual that you come across as. A lot of it depends on how you represent yourself. If you come across as just being a bum, somebody that's not ambitious or motivated, somebody that really doesn't want to work, they're not going to deal with you. But it's all about how you represent yourself. And a lot of the times, yeah, you guys see my boy Gizmo. Why do they always pop in when they know that I'm doing these videos? These guys are camera hogs. They know that you guys know who they are. They think they're stars. All right, Gizmo, cut that shit out. Anyways, now look at him. Threw himself on the floor, belly up. He wants some attention. These guys. Anyways, so I'll be honest with you guys. Most of the time when I would go in and I'd represent myself like that and I would humble myself, I would get hired. So my point in all this is for those of you that allow yourself to get into that mindset that you can't work because you got tattoos on your face and all that. Again, that's a cop-out. Don't allow yourself to think like that. And if you're doing that, just keep it real. You want to collect SSI or, government assistance. You don't want to work, but you can get a job. So I remember when I really started to get proactive about finding a job. Like I said, I went on Craigslist and I did an email blast to a bunch of different places. So there was a food distribution company called MBM that responded to one of my emails. And, this is a small company that was owned by McLean. Warren Buffett owns this company. And, they scheduled me for an interview. And I remember going on their site, looking at their company, and it looked like a good job and they paid well. So at that time, my mindset was still, because I have tattoos on my face, that this is gonna work against me. So what I did was, I think I got it off Amazon, but I got some tattoo cover up. So this tattoo cover up, it's skin color, or you can make it your shade. They give you all the stuff to make it your shade. So what you do is you apply it on your tattoos and it basically covers them up. So it looks like it's just skin. So I remember I did that. This company was out there in Livermore. It gets hot out there. And again, at this time, it was summertime. And I took that tattoo cover up and I put it all over my neck. At that time, I had the Golden Gate Bridge on my neck. I had a female on this side, some clowns on this side. Then I had some tattoos on my face. I had a star right here. I had Familiano over my eyebrow, and I think I had a teardrop. So I put all this cover up on me, and I go in for this interview. So I throw a white thermal on, and then I throw on a 3/4 sleeve dress shirt over it, cover up my arms, to cover up the tattoos on my arms. And I go in for this interview. I go in, and like I said, it's sweltering hot outside. It's hot on that day. It was hot the day that I went in for this interview. So I remember going into the lobby and I'm sweating. I'm like, damn, it's hot. I grab a magazine, I'm fanning myself, and they come out. Two guys come out. One of them ended up being the district manager and the other one was the supervisor. I'd find this out later. So I go in for the interview and I go ahead and represent myself like I do every other time before. I humble myself. I tell them, look, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I just got out. I got a family. I need a job. I need the support. I just need somebody to give me a chance to prove that, my work ethic is up to par, that I'm punctual, that I'm a fast learner, and that I'm serious about working. And I tell them, this is what I'm willing to do. I'm so driven and, motivated to work that I'll work for you for a week without any pay. My whole purpose is to just show you guys that I'm dead serious about working and that I really need a job and I just need somebody to give me a chance. So they hear me out and then we go into the rest of the interview. They ask if I've ever worked in a warehouse. Do I have any experience with selecting? Do I know how to drive a forklift and all that good stuff? So after we pretty much had concluded the interview, the supervisor was like, look, we're pretty much done here. We'll be in contact with you later on this week. I got to get back into the warehouse. It's a heavy day and I got my crew there waiting for me. He goes, I'll be in touch with you later on this week. So he leaves. So the district manager, he stays behind. He kind of looked like maybe when he was younger, he might have ran around on the streets. And then at some point he got this job and he started to do the family thing. So when the supervisor left, we started talking about something else. But at some point he was like, hey man, let me ask you something. And I'm like, what's up? He's like, you ever been to the joint? And I just look at him and I was like, yeah, I have. And he goes, yeah, man, I kind of figured that. He goes, because, man, tell me you didn't put a bunch of makeup on to try to cover up your tattoos. And when he said that, I was like, what? Caught me off guard, because what ended up happening was it was so hot that the makeup started coming off on the collar of my white thermal. It was all over. When I took it off, I was like, oh man, I must have looked like a clown in there. Anyways, when he said that, eventually I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought that if I came in here with my tattoos, that it probably wouldn't be a good look. So yeah, that's what I did. And he was like, look, man, check it out. I've been to the joint myself. I'm off parole now. He was like, this company is a good company. It gave me a chance when I was younger, and I'm all about giving chances to guys like you. He's like, so you didn't have to do that. I obviously didn't know that, but I'm like, okay, cool, man. So then he's like, look, he goes, are you gonna pass the UA test? I was like, hell yeah, man, I'm clean. I'm on parole. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm still on parole. He's like, that's the only thing that will hold you back from getting this job. He's like, they're strict about it. This is a good job. It pays good. This is a company that you can make a career out of. But when it comes to those tests, you got to be clean, man. I was like, I'm not even worried about that. You can drop a bottle every day of the week and you're never gonna find nothing in there. So anyways, I ended up getting that job. And it was a job that I'll tell you guys a little bit more about it, maybe the next episode. But this kind of helped me get back into the swing of employment, getting back out there, meeting people, talking to people, interacting with people. And it kind of helped me transition back out. This job benefited me in a number of different ways. But, I ended up losing this job later on. I'll tell you guys about it. Even though I was trying to do the right thing out there at that time, several jobs that I would end up getting throughout the first couple of years when I first got out, I would end up messing up. And I'm going to be honest with you guys and tell you what happened. So that was just one part of it. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the employment thing, because I know that there's a lot of guys that might be watching this that are younger, and at some point you're going to have to get employed. You're gonna have to find a job. And I just want to make sure that you guys are not allowing yourselves to fall into that mindset of, I can't get a job, nobody's gonna hire me, I got tattoos, I'm institutionalized. So this is gonna be a short episode. There's one other thing that I want to touch on, that it's a question that I've been asked a lot, and it's something else that was important. And that's, because I've always struggled with addiction from the time that I was 12 years old. What happened when I first got out? Did I allow myself to go out there and start using again? Or did I stay strong and committed to some of the commitments that I made to myself? And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm just gonna tell you like this. During that first week after I got out, temptation was weighing on me. It was something that continued to run through my mind. I kept thinking about going to the city, going down to 16th and Mission, and copping something and just making it a one-time thing. And I had to continue to fight those inner demons. I had to continue to fight that negativity off and remind myself of everything that I had lost, of all the people that I lost, losing a mother prematurely because she was addicted to heroin, and her death was because of heroin. Those are the things that I had to continue to remind myself about. And I also had to tell myself that there is no one time. It's not going to be a one-hitter quitter. You're not going to be able to go down there, get a bag, do it one time, and then not get caught up in that cycle. I had to be honest with myself, because like I said, those thoughts kept creeping into my mind. I kept thinking about it. Damn, just one time it would be cool. But I had experienced enough adversity during the 10 years that I was in that county jail, whether it was losing loved ones, whether it was, relationships that ended up being sabotaged because of that, or whether it was because of bad decisions that I made over the years. That stuff affected my life in every way imaginable. And if I allow myself to think that I could just do it casually one time and that I'd be okay, I knew I was lying to myself. I had to keep reminding myself that I knew I had to be stronger than that voice that kept telling me to go down there and just get one bag and just do it one time. But I can tell you guys that I didn't allow myself to fall into that cycle. I had had enough. I had lost enough. And just thinking about the last time that I kicked, how bad that was in the county jail, was enough to remind me of something that I didn't want no part of no more. Here's the other thing. So when I got out, my stepfather was still alive. He was still alive and he was still trapped in that lifestyle. He had been a heroin addict all his life. I mean, from the time he came into my life when I was 9, 10, he had been a heroin addict. And throughout his relationship with my mom, that's all he used to do. That's all they used to do. And when I got out, he was still doing his thing. And there was a couple of times that he came out there to Pleasanton to visit with me. He jumped on the BART and he came out there, and every time I got around him, it was like the big elephant, the big white elephant in the room. I knew he probably had dope on him, and it was something that was going through my mind. Damn, I should ask him, I should hit him up, but I never did. I never did again. This was something that I had to keep fighting. The temptation was, it almost got me a few times. Every time I would go around my stepfather, that's when I got, the weakest. But I didn't allow myself to go down that path. I'll tell you guys what ended up happening to my stepfather. I got out and I think I seen him probably around 3 or 4 times, and then he would end up passing away. And I'll tell you guys, how that happened and everything that happened with that. But, the employment thing was one of the main things that I wanted to talk about in this episode. Again, this is going to be a short one, but I'm going to hit you guys with episode 103 soon. I'm going to try to get these consistent again. So for those of you that like inner demons, don't trip. I got you guys. Anyways, with that being said, you guys have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your week. I appreciate you guys for supporting the channel. If you like this episode, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this episode, give it a thumbs down. But either way, drop a comment and let me know what you think. With that being said, it's your boy B, and I'm gone.